welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host Owen James, the channel that brings you all your latest Rangers news. Now, one of the big stories that is currently going round is that Rangers are trying to acquire the services of Lyall Cameron from Dundee. Now, look, I don't know how much truth there is in any of these rumours. We all know what it's like. It's January. Therefore, in January, we have just these crazy outbreak of rumours. Everyone knows Rangers need players. Everyone knows Rangers need to strengthen because of the fact the squad is quite simply not good enough. Obviously, the manager's not good enough either, but that's the situation. But look, we know that Cameron is a decent young player. We seem to have that in that... It seems to be that it is a case that, look, we are looking to acquire young Scottish talent, full stop, to really get this trading model up and running. So, look, what is it? What is it? Is Cameron the right signing? Is he a player that Rangers need? Is he someone that Rangers need now or will need in the summer? What's the best plan for Lyall Cameron? Look, I've seen some games where Cameron's played, obviously mostly against Rangers, obviously. I know he came on last night against Celtic, but he looks a decent player. He looks a tidy player. He looks a good footballer. Still very young. Still got development. Still got room to improve and get better. So look, there is that positive there that he is this young, developing, up and coming player. He is proven at the Scottish Premier League level because, of course, he has played in the Scottish Premier League this season. So he's not, he's not a player that's going to come in and is going to, struggle to actually, cope with Scottish football. That's always the risk when you go and buy players from abroad, from other leagues, is that they come to Scotland, they struggle with the whole physicality, the speed, the intensity of the domestic game over here. And yes, they may look good in Europe, as we've seen with Robin Propper, for example. No, he's not a young player, but he looks good in Europe and has struggled in the domestic game. Cameron has made 21 appearances for Dundee this season, scoring 5 goals and 4 assists. Appeared in 91% of their starting 11s, played 87% of the minutes this year, and had nearly a quarter goal participation rate. So has contributed to nearly a quarter of Dundee's goals in the Premier League, in the Scottish Premiership. In the League Cup, Cameron has appeared 6 times, scoring 3 goals with 3 assists. So 6 goal contributions in 6, which is pretty good. Played 83% of the starting 11s, 89% of the minutes, and has contributed to a quarter of Dundee's goals in the League Cup competition. He is a central midfielder by trade, so more a number 8 than anything else. He can however play as a 10 and also can play as a right midfielder. So he brings a number of options there. In terms of that number 8 position, is that something Rangers really need to address currently? Obviously we have Mohamed Diamonde that can play there. Raskin is kind of specialising himself as a 6 these days. Connor Barron, I honestly feel, can play as an 8. I think to be honest with you, Barron is more an 8 than a 6. We've got Cole McKinnon as well. Obviously, we don't know what his future holds. He's obviously gone on loan to Ayr. He's out of contract at the end of the season. Is he going to remain? Is he going to go? Is he going to stay? He was, Academy Player of the Year a couple of years back. So, he's obviously a very clear talent there. Bailey Rice is a 6, so he doesn't really sort of figure in this discussion here. Paul Uncio is another one up and coming. Plays 8, plays 10. So I know Cameron's proven at the highest level, but is he going to restrict the chances of our own Scottish talent? Cole McKinnon, for example, breaking through into the first team. Or is he better than Cole McKinnon? I think evidence. It's difficult to kind of take any evidence on that because Cole McKinnon really hasn't had a fair crack at the whip or a fair chance in the first team yet. Certainly when Cole came on last year against Benfica and a couple of the league games that he played, he did very well and was admirable. So, Cameron does obviously bring a number of different things to the team. So he's got a good range of passing. He's quite a quick player. He can buy himself time and space. There was an incident I remember at Ibrox when we played them where the balls fed into him. I can't remember who was on him. I think it might have been Dio or someone else tight on him, and he spins away from them and makes so much time for himself to play the ball forward and start an attack off. He is quite clearly a very talented player. Now, I do as well recognise that there is, I believe, a need for Rangers to have more Scottish talent. As I've said on previous videos, that when Rangers do well is when we have a core of Scottish talent within the squad. When we have Scottish players there. We saw when Walter Smith was here, he was not afraid to use Scottish players. Graham Souness is the same. So we do better on the whole when we have those Scottish players in the team. So there's that argument for. So, look, I'm looking at this, trying to look at this as balanced as possible. There was arguments for and against. So, the argument obviously is, he's Scottish, he's a good young talent, so that's the sort of player Rangers need to be identifying. And then when you question it, you get, well, they're just being a snob, aren't you? Because you keep saying we need Scottish players. Now we're after one, you don't want him. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is sort of look at this as an argument. Now, the one thing that kind of goes against Cameron in terms of him as a player is his size and his physicality. He's not the biggest of guys, is he? He's not a substantial guy. Rangers don't have a lot of what I would call big, tall, strong midfield players. We've got a lot of very small midfield players. Obviously, Nicholas Raskin's quite a little lad. Connor Barron's not exactly huge, is he? Dio's not exactly physically huge. So you wouldn't say that we haven't got a very physical midfield. And Cameron, at under 6 foot, is certainly not going to add to that. I'm not saying that there's no fight in him, because I'm sure there is. There's probably more fight in Nicholas Raskin and in Connor Barron than there is in Kieran Dowell and Robin Propper combined. But there's that side of it as well. He is a decent footballer. He is obviously as well out of contract at the end of this season. His contract runs out on May the 31st, 2025. So he will be available on a free transfer in the summer. Now that we know that because he is a young player who's come through Dundee's system, he will not be free. Because, like Barron, there will be a compensation fee to pay. However, the compensation fee, as we've seen from Connor Barron, is never ever, massively sort of prohibitive. It's not a fee that you're going to go, well, shit, I don't want to pay that. It's probably around about 650, 700,000 max for him, plus possibly a sell-on inserted in there. So we can see that that's not massively prohibitive at this point in time. Now, we're in January transfer window. We need players. I think we still do need players. We need players in a number of different positions. I personally feel we need another centre-back, we need a striker, we need a winger, a right winger. Given the fact we're probably going to lose Cheney in the summer, we need. I still feel we do need a central midfield player. That is on the list. Strikers I've mentioned, wingers I've mentioned. Centre backs. I think there's a number of positions we do still need to strengthen. Now, given the fact that and I'm going off what Patrick Stewart said here when he spoke to the media the other day. He talked about the fact that we bring in one, maybe two. So look, if we're looking at the likelihood of 2 players coming in, and one of those is pretty much guaranteed, I think, to be a centre-back, that leaves one other space to bring in. Now, that could, of course, change if we were to sell players, if players were to leave. Obviously, there's talk of Cyril Dessers leaving, please God. Rabbi Matondo leaving, players like that leaving. Kieran Dowell, possibly, those players going out. I mean, as much as I would, I'd love to see Dessers, Matondo and Dowell depart. I don't think they contribute anything to the team. Them going out would be a positive. I honestly feel that Cameron is a player that Rangers do need. Let's answer that question in a kind of roundabout way, in a kind of politician-y kind of way. Yes. Yeah, horrible. Terrible. Yes, we do need Cameron, but I don't think we need Cameron now. I don't think that he would be the sort of player that we need to add to the squad at this moment in time. I think in the summer, yes, definitely bring him in on a free, like we did with Connor Barron, introduce him through pre-season, introduce him into the team, and let him go at the start of next season and let him play. And let's see what we've got in Lyall Cameron. So I do think Lyall Cameron is a player we do need to sign. So let's get that clear. Yes to Lyall Cameron. However, just not now, in the summer. I just think that in this January transfer window, there are far more pressing needs that we need to address rather than another midfield player. I think an out-and-out right winger to back up Cheney, given the fact as well that Cheney's likely to leave at the end of the season, or a striker. I think, yes, Hamza is doing the job. Yes, Danilo is doing the job. But, if one of those was to go down injured, which with Danilo we've seen an awful lot of, Hamza was to lose his form a little bit, given the fact that he is a young player, it happens with young players. Do you really want to be trusting Cyril Dessers again? Given the fact that this team looks so much better when he is not in the team. When he is in the team, we look slow, we look dithersome, we look turgid, we look chronic. We just look poor. So, for me, a striker is even more of a priority, I think. So, look, I admit, I know nothing. Niels Koppen is the expert here. If Niels Koppen feels this is the best move for now, do it, Niels Koppen. I just feel at this stage, and this is just my opinion, and I'm sure you all have different opinions to this, Cameron now is not the right move. Cameron in the summer, yes, is the right move. But I think now a centre-back, a striker, a centre-back, a winger are far better buys at this point, especially given the fact that we are not going to be bringing in a vast amount of players. And I honestly think as well, given what they've said about cost-cutting measures being put into place, I think even if we were to sell 3 or 4 players, we'd still only bring in 1 or 2 players, because it's about cutting the budget as well as obviously cutting the squad size. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts. Please obviously drop me a comment, drop me your thoughts in the comments down below. And remember, on the way out, please hit the sub, keep the channel growing, smash that like. It helps with that YouTube algorithm. Guys, the likes are so low at the moment. I don't know if you're forgetting or you just don't like the content. Please smash that like, and obviously remember to share, and obviously share as well. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, remember, we are the people.